A few weeks ago, WWE put out a statement saying that Triple H was going to make a big announcement on an upcoming edition of WWE programming. And many fans thought, okay, this is a big goddamn deal. Triple H had recent health scares, so much so that he left his boots in the ring. He's retiring. His health is most important. He's a husband. And he's got his kids. He's got to make sure that he takes care of himself for their future. And also, he works backstage. He's an influential, important, very, very big figure backstage. He actually is. He does actually do a lot of shit backstage, and he decided to do that. So when he appears on television, it's a big goddamn deal. It's not very often, but when it is, it's like, okay, this is important. We must be seated. It's like this generation's Jack Tunney, except without all the stuff, later in his life, if you know, you know. To the point that, really, nobody from WWE went to Jack Tunney's funeral. Read up on it. It's weird. But what is this groundbreaking, earth-shattering, life-altering, life-affirming, what in the world could this grandiose, game-changing announcement be? That they're bringing back the WWE draft, but this time they're super, super serial about it. Because they've been so super serial about it in the past. We have every single wrestler / superstar / backstage person from Raw, from Smackdown, from NXT being eligible. You can move over here. It can be like the cup trick you do with cats or dogs. And, give them a treat and everything. In fact, that's actually kind of how they treat a lot of their goddamn talent. They had so many people backstage. It was like, the only hope is the sweet relief of death if you get, drafted to the wrong goddamn thing. But nevertheless, they did the draft over Smackdown, over Raw, and supplemental picks. The supplemental picks basically are their way of saying, we're going to give you a little bit of screen time, but not on television because you're not important enough. And now, the rosters are 100% finalized. They're 100% finalized. At least they will be on March 8th. May 8th. Lousy smarch weather, because Triple H just can't figure out how a calendar works. It's gonna be May. But we got Backlash. And then, trust me, after the next Raw, the rosters will be 100% finalized. There will be no way they will fuck this up. They will absolutely make sure that they hold to these rosters. No, there's no way they'll change that goddamn stuff. But nevertheless, let's just have a little bit of fun with this video before the contents of this are rendered completely pointless when they trade a whole bunch of people back and forth just to change up some storylines. Anyway, I'm John Redland with my real honest thoughts on the WWE 2023 draft. Okay, lengthy intro, but you know what? I want to have a little bit of goddamn fun because honestly, this draft is, like I said in other videos, just rearranging the furniture. I talked about some of the picks briefly on Smackdown and the Raw reviews. So I've got every single individual written down that has been traded as of this recording Tuesday morning. Now, look, I don't get the whole thing of having a draft. I don't mind switching people back and forth. But unless they're going to really focus on a hard brand split, they did in 2002 and even 2003, and then they would have trades and they would have stuff like that. By the time we got to 2006, it really didn't matter as much. 2016, 2018 they did, and then they gave up. Yes, the pandemic happened, but nevertheless. So let's start talking about, I guess, Raw, since Raw got the most people now. And I'm also going to talk about the women's division and the tag divisions at the end. So, running through people very quickly, and I will talk about the ones that I feel are important to the particular brands. We have Rhea Ripley, who's the current SmackDown Women's Champion. I fully expect what they'll do is they'll just do what the Profits, and I believe New Day did, and just swap the titles. Rhea's a champion, so you know what? Her being on Raw makes sense. Gunther and Imperium being on there, that makes sense. This way Gunther can hopefully, fully just flesh out his title reign and break the Honky Tonk Man's record. Even if he just breaks it by one goddamn day and drops it, I'll be happy. Indy Hartwell, the current NXT Women's Champion. She has an ankle injury. I wonder how long she's going to be out. Hopefully not long. She is in a walking boot. Hopefully she's going to recover quickly. Kevin Owens and Sami Zayn, the tag team champions. Them being on Raw makes sense. And then we get Liv and Raquel, the women's tag team champions. And then we go through Cody Rhodes. And that makes sense. He's going to compete for the World Heavyweight Championship, the secondary prize. And probably end up winning the Rumble or finding a way somehow to get to Roman Reigns to finish his story by next year's Mania. So then we get Becky Lynch. That makes sense. Riddle. I really don't care where Riddle goes because I'm not going to pay attention to the bloody thing he does. Drew McIntyre. I mean, he apparently, I guess his contract is up at some point, but you know what? If he's happy and staying there, good, because he can still contribute pretty well. The Miz, I mean, does it really matter? Good on The Miz for staying in the company as long as he has, but I don't care anymore. Seth Pheasant Rollins is there to serenade, or have the fans serenade him. So, Judgment Day, the rest of Judgment Day, Priest, Dominic, and Balor. And then we get the New Day, Xavier, and Kofi. I keep hoping that Big E will come back. I'm just happy that Big E has his health, but I really do miss seeing Big E in the ring. Trish, I don't know why they wasted a draft pick on Trish unless Trish is going to be with the company for the next year, and I think she's only going to be there till SummerSlam. And Ronda Rousey and Shayna Baszler. Good job there, Bischoff. Good job there, you fucking idiot. But yeah, Rousey and Baszler are there. Baszler got injured at Mania. And Team YU Bald, Ricochet, and the Brawny Paper Strongman. Bronson Reed, here comes Bronson, as it were. Alpha Academy, I mean, does it matter? Even though Gable's good and Otis is fine as a big guy, the team means nothing. Katana and Caden apparently are there. I mean, at this point, they really needed to figure out a better time to do this. I mean, I guess any time right after a premium live event to finalize the rosters is good, but I guess you could argue that Katana and Caden probably should have been called up sooner. Dana Brooke is still there. Nothing against Dana Brooke. I'm just amazed that they still keep her. I mean, she's been with the company for 8 years. Nikki Cross, Gargano, Los Lotharios, who I forgot were with the company, Akira Tozawa, speaking of people that have been with the company for a while, Piper Niven, Xia Li, Tegan Knox, Emma, Riddick Moss, Inda Sher, along with Jinder, for what I don't have any fucking idea. Odyssey, joking about trans men Jones. Odyssey Jones is getting featured quite well for a guy that was out for about a year with a knee injury. The Viking Raiders and Valhalla. Candice LeRae, Dexter Lumis. The Models, Dear God Help Us. Natalia, Apollo, Chelsea, Sonya, and Grandma Zoe Stark. Free agents, by the way. Let's go to the free agents before I go to the Raw Women's Division and Tag Division. The free agents, as of this recording, the Bork Laser, Edward James Almost an MVP, Baron Corbin, Cedric and Shelton, Elias, Ali, Dolph, Heavy Metal Von Wagner, Lobotomized Zebra himself, and Zion Quinn. I have nothing personal against Zion Quinn. It's just I'm amazed that they decided to feature him like that when they barely featured him on television for a while. And Von Wagner, they keep trying with this motherfucking guy, and this guy just ain't ever going to work. I'm not saying that he's terrible. He's just not very good. And, the whole come Tuesday thing, now it's going to have to be come Monday. So, nevertheless, that is the Raw setup. And look, in all honesty, there are some good people there, but there's WWE's biggest issue is they need to change over people. I'm not saying immediately release people from their contract, but if contracts are coming up and you haven't been utilizing these people well, just release them. Just release them. Say, we're giving you 90 days. You can go somewhere else. Cool. I would have written down the NXT roster, but I don't give a flying fuck about NXT. As far as the depth of talent, I will say that they did lose some people, but they also lost people that needed, quite frankly, to go. They needed to be called up. Indy should have been called up a while ago. Same with Katana and Caden. But let's go. Let's stick with Raw, and let's look at the women's division and then the tag division. So the women's division. Again, as of this recording, Rhea Ripley, Indy Hartwell, Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, Becky Lynch, Trish, Ronda Rousey, Shayna Baszler, Katana Chance, Caden Carter, Dana Brooke, Nikki Cross, Piper Niven, Xia Li, Tegan Knox, Emma, Valhalla, Candice, Chelsea, Sonya, and Grandma Stark. And the thing is about Zoe, she's got to be super thrilled because she already was a few decades into her career before Raw ever came on the air or whatever, and given all the women that have wrestled there and have appeared on there. I mean, she was there for Sherry Martel's debut match. She was there to see her in Memphis when Sherry helped bring Jim Cornette on and everything. That was pretty goddamn cool. And yeah, Zoe's been all over the goddamn place. I mean, she was there when Mildred Burke won the goddamn women's championship. She was there when the first ever woman decided to step in the ring and everything and said, that's what I want to do. Except I'm already grown up, so I'm going to have to get cracking on that and everything. Apparently she has the aging disease that Wesley Snipes had in Blade. But nevertheless, Zoe has to be thrilled that she's working on the same show as the Fabulous Moolah and Mae Young, women that she saw debut in their respective matches back in the 40s and even the late 30s. So nevertheless, yes, Grandma Zoe Stark has to be very, very happy about that. I don't know why I make these jokes, but I just do. So let's talk about the tag division. In all seriousness, though, about the women's division, that's not bad. There's a good amount of women. If they utilize them properly and feature them and have women come in that will be, not jobbers, but, like ones that maybe they have in their developmental system, they could feature a little bit. And then, okay, we rotate them out and then we can, feature these women. Maybe we can use some local talents that would be seen as jobbers. We could do something that would make this women's division seem more bolstered. Tag teams. Okay, don't know why I spaced it out like that. Owens and Zayn, Kaiser and Vinci. Judgment Day, you could go with Priest and Balor, Priest and Dominic, Balor and Dominic. You could do the Freebird rule. Yeah, this team is about as lively as the goddamn Freebirds now. So anyway, Team YU Bald, Ricochet, and the Brawny Paper Strongman, Alpha Academy, Gable, and Otis. Gable might as well just lay down when the bell rings to take pins, because that's all he does. Los Lotharios, Indus-Share, the Raiders, and the Maximum Male Models. They do not have a lot of depth as far as Raw tag teams. I mean, once you go past Team YU Bald, that's pretty much it. Because Alpha Academy, by the way, former Raw Tag Team Champions, did you remember that? I totally fucking forgot that they were Raw Tag Team Champions. But where could some of these free agents go? Bork will just appear on any of those shows. Edward James Olmos, they have to give up on just trying to feature him as a monster. Yes, he's big and that's it. Honestly, Ali could be fine on Raw. In fact, might be better on Raw because I can see them feeding him to Roman and everybody else. In fact, at this point, Cedric and Shelton, I really think should be on Raw to bolster their tag division because they have a lot of joke tag teams there. Watch them team Von Wagner and Elias up or something like that, or Von Wagner and Corbin because they're big lads. And at least Corbin is smooth and crisp in the ring, even if he's boring. Unfortunately, Heavy Metal Von Wagner will just never, ever, ever be he'll never be any good. He'll no matter how, none of us will live long enough for Von Wagner to be good. So Raw got some good pieces. And then we go to Smackdown. And Smackdown, in my opinion, lost the goddamn draft, and Smackdown's going to be the worst of the two shows, and I will explain why when we get to that pick. If you can't guess who I'm going to talk about, then you don't know. Obviously, that's why you're going to listen. So, Roman and Heyman, they are one individual pick. The, tribal queef and his thighs, man. I mean, I kid, of course, but it makes sense because Roman got drafted to SmackDown. Bianca Belair, by the way, who... I'm recording this before Backlash, but it's like just the fact that they draft the respective champions of whatever brand to something, it just made the whole thing with Mania more pointless, where they should have just swapped the opponents. But nevertheless, we got Rhea and Charlotte out of it, and it was an incredible goddamn match. And Bianca versus Asuka was also good. Austin Theory, no matter how hard they try with this guy, I just don't fucking care. He's a U.S. champion as of, heading into Backlash. We get the Profits, we get Edge, and during his last run, Lashley, the OC, a.k.a. Styles, the Good Brothers, Home of the Good Brothers, Maybe We Take Your Order, and Mia Yim. Damage Control, Bayley, Dakota, and Io. Alba Fire and Isla Dawn. Charlotte, the LWO, a.k.a. Santos, Wild Mendoza, Ray, and Zelina Vega. And Asuka, we get the Blarling Brute, Sheamus, Peter Dune, and Ridge Holland. Cross and Scarlett, LA Knight, yeah. Shotzi, and the reason that SmackDown lost the draft is Pretty Deadly. I hate Pretty Deadly. I don't want to watch Pretty Deadly. People are disappointed they're not going to be teaming with Seth Rollins. Well, that would actually make me not want to watch Seth Rollins ever again because I can't stand him. And I don't mean as people. I can't stand watching these motherfuckers because they're super annoying. And not super annoying that, oh, I want to see them get their ass beat. No, they're just super goddamn annoying. What are they supposed to be? Who are they supposed to be? Are they supposed to be from this goddamn planet? And also, they got fished out of that river awfully goddamn quickly. Just, God, Pretty Deadly. Super goddamn annoying. Anyway, Rick Boogs, who I think is pretty much just, his time has passed, basically. I don't really think fans care anymore. That's nothing against the guy for how hard he worked to get back from that injury. Cameron Grimes, to the moon on Friday. Tamina, who yes is still employed, believe it or not. Hit Row. Why? What has Hit Row done besides provide, endless meme opportunities, especially Top Dollar not understanding how the goddamn ropes work? Lacey Evans and Grayson Waller. Grayson Waller, at least as far as in-ring work, will make sense. That'll be something, at least, pretty good, all things considered. Let's take a look at the SmackDown Women's Division. Bianca Belair, good. Mia Yim, who can work, but I don't know if Mia's going to ever be featured properly. Bayley, who can work, but might be serving out her penance because she hasn't really been featured all that great. I mean, she got a win over Liv Morgan recently on Raw, and can you name really the last big win she got? I can't. Io and Dakota, Alba Fire, Isla Dawn, Charlotte, Zelina, if you want to call her a wrestler. Asuka, Scarlett, if you want to call her a wrestler. Shotzi, Tamina, B-Fab, you can't call her a wrestler. And Lacey Evans. I gotta be perfectly honest, the SmackDown women's roster, outside of a few, it's not nearly as deep, but then again, it's a 2-hour show instead of a 3-hour show compared to Raw. But oof, there are some toughies there. Lacey, they might as well give up on because she is just not, it's not working. It wasn't really working. It was working sort of before she became pregnant. Ever since she came back, it hasn't really worked. SmackDown Tag Teams, Usos, Profits, Good Brothers, LWO, The Brutes, Pretty Deadly, and Hit Row. Besides those last two, and honestly, at least Hit Row, you could get some meme material out of them. You can't get anything out of Pretty Deadly except me wanting to put them in a stump grinder. There isn't really anything worth investing in outside the top few tag teams. They need to rotate talents out. I don't mean trade them between brands. I don't mean even send some people to NXT. I don't mean that. WWE has some potential here. I mean, if we're taking a look, at this sheet as far as the SmackDown and the Raw roster, they could do more free agent stuff. They could bring some more people up from NXT in the coming days. They could do this, but it seems like, everything's done, the supplemental drafts, all that. What I think is going to happen, in all honesty, the Usos are going to be traded after Backlash to Raw, because Roman's going to be pissed at him because one of the Usos is going to take the fall probably in Backlash. My predictions will be up sometime after this video. And maybe we'll get a few others. Maybe Pretty Deadly will be traded to Raw for somebody else, and somebody else will go down to... Maybe they'll trade the Models and Alpha Academy to SmackDown. And then you'll just get that kind of stuff, and you'll continue those storylines. Maybe you could draft Hit Row to, being future endeavored. I mean, I'm not for people losing their jobs, but I just don't see what Hit Row provides. There are some people, numerous people, that quite frankly being drafted should have either been supplementally drafted, if that's even a word, or quite frankly given their notice to go somewhere else. Because Impact is hiring people, AEW is hiring people, New Japan's running some events in the U.S., there are opportunities out there. And I mean, just swapping out and getting some fresh talent in is important. I don't think this draft's going to amount to much of anything. I just ran through the names to talk about stuff just for fun. But in all honesty, do you think that this draft will really accomplish anything? Yes, it's in the early stages, and we still have NXT tonight. We still have SmackDown. We still have Backlash. And then we have Raw, where everything will be finalized. But I think we could get a few women being traded also. And quite frankly, I think there are... It's going to be a test to see how some of these call-ups and how some of them work. I think some of them can succeed, but WWE is going to be in a bit of a transitional period, at least, for the next few months until we get to SummerSlam. So let me know your thoughts on the draft in the comments, please. Who do you think won? Do you think Raw won as the overall brand? SmackDown won? It didn't because Pretty Deadly's there and Hit Row's there. Or which women's division, which tag division you think is better? What do you think overall of the draft? Let me know in the comments. Like, share, subscribe, Twitter handle in the description. I'm John Retlin. I'll see you soon.